welcome to my third YouTube channel. Oh my God, this is exciting. Is it, or is it scary? So what this YouTube video is going to be about today is emotions. And how does emotions hijack us, and how can we heal them? So my name is Victoria Bedford and I'm a holistic spiritual therapist specialising in inner child work and shadow work. There is a video which was first popped up, which isn't that great by the way, but it may be worth a look at. That's why I end up working and doing this work. So emotions, what are they? They are feelings that we have. This video is going to be talking to you about how emotions impact us, how we can learn to accept them and validate them, and how we can learn to process them and not allow them to impact our lives and keep us hostage in the way that emotions do. Why do you need to deal with emotions? Well, this is something that not many people know. Why? Because not many people are taught that emotions are important. Not many people are taught that they can teach themselves and work on their emotions, and they can actually be the one to be navigated to feel what they need to feel, to process what they need to process, and to let go of what they need to let go. Instead, we are a society running around hijacked, having highs and lows of emotions that we don't feel we have any control over. Because all we've seen is how other people deal with their emotions. And let's be honest, right up until this period of time, people weren't taught or even knew anything about emotional awareness. So are you somebody that has emotional highs, that you get agitated, you get moody, you may shout, and you may not try not to do this for a period of time, and then it hijacks you again? Are you somebody that snaps or is passive aggressive and they try not to be angry but they end up in arguments anyway? Are you somebody that feels down? When things happen that are out of your control, you feel down and you feel sad and you allow it without realising to overcome you and to keep you in positions within yourself that you don't feel like you have any control. Emotions are something every one of us face, but we are not taught how to allow them to work for us. Emotions are our biggest navigators. Emotions are there to tell us when something is wrong. Emotions are there to tell us when our body needs to be addressed, or our mind. We try to bypass our emotions like we have a choice. You don't. Your emotions are going to come out whether you like it or not. And unless you have any emotional awareness, they're going to come out in ways that you have no control over. And when we get to a stage in our lives of we're wanting to open up to spiritual growth, we start to learn the importance of emotional intelligence. Okay, so what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is when you say, I am willing to become aware of what my emotions are wanting to tell me. For one, you have learnt to invalidate your emotions, hence why you have emotional reactions. How we start to face our emotions, how we start to heal our emotions and to allow them to be a part of us and not something we fight, we start to connect to them. When things happen that leave us feeling agitated or overwhelmed, learning emotional intelligence means you're going to show up to it in a different way. I'm inviting you from this video to take the time to recognise how you allow your emotions to hijack you. Do you get overwhelmed quickly? Do you shout and get agitated? Do you end up in arguments? Do you become passive aggressive? How are your emotions hijacking you? When we start to have emotional intelligence, we start to go, right, I don't want to be in control of my emotions, but I want to be able to feel them and validate them. The next time something happens in your life that would make you angry, or make you shut down, or make you react in a way that you're used to reacting, I invite you to pause. I invite you to stop and assess How are you dealing with that situation right now? If you are dealing with it by shutting down and you're not saying how you feel, I invite you to, first of all, feel how you are feeling about that situation. And then I invite you to address how you feel with another person. And this does not mean going around and talking about people behind their back, but it means going to the person that you feel upset by and addressing it with them. Now, you may think, well, I don't want the conflict, or I don't think they're going to deal with it very well. It is now time for you to stop worrying about how other people take things, how other people deal with things, and it's time for you to start taking some power back, some personal power back. And the only way that you can do that is by changing how you deal with things. Address it in a way that is not confrontational, but you are saying how you feel. And you have to recognize that when you do this, that they may not give you the response that you want. And that's not going to be comfortable. They may tell you that you're being silly. They may tell you that, oh, you're overreacting. But I need you to know that your thoughts and feelings are valid, even if they come from a painful place at the moment. Because lots of our emotions come from the pain of the past. And I'm going to be talking about that in a different video, but right now I want to bring to you how can we start to show up differently with our emotions. And if you don't feel that you can go to that person, I invite you to write down how you feel. You don't have to give them the letter, but write down how you feel. If you are somebody that shouts or get agitated or moody, don't try to keep it in and not shout. I mean, don't shout either, but step away. Allow yourself to step away from the situation that you're feeling angry about and go and take some time to process feeling angry. You might not be able to process it right there and then because you may be at work. You may be in an environment that you haven't got space to do that. But I invite you, when you do have space, that you do address it. The reason why we have angry outbursts is because emotions are left unprocessed within our body. They sit especially in our root chakra and our sacral chakra. They sit there, and that's how we constantly get that anger in our belly, and it feels like rage and it comes out. So the only way that we can start to change how we emotionally deal with things is to start feeling and validating our emotions. So when you do have time, sit and feel about what has happened. Don't sit and feel what you could have changed or what you should have said differently. Sit and feel the emotions that you have coming with that situation. Majority of the time, the reason why you're feeling angry or sad or frustrated is because you've been triggered. And this is from a past emotion. And again, I will talk again about that in another video. But briefly, if we have felt unheard in childhood or early adolescence, we take that into adulthood. So when we feel unheard, we get really angry and agitated and we shout. When we feel invalidated in childhood and early adolescence, when we reach adulthood and somebody invalidates us, unconsciously we'll get angry and agitated. When we feel not supported in childhood and early adolescence, one or the other or both. When we feel unsupported in life growing up, as an adult, we'll get angry and agitated. So sitting back and reflecting about where has that anger come from. And I'm going to give you an example. You were downstairs in the kitchen and you wanted to speak to your partner about something that was sensitive or something that was bothering you, and they said, I haven't got time for this right now. And you suddenly get really angry, and you haven't got angry in a while, but you suddenly get really angry because how dare he do that? He's always busy, he's always working. Then all this stuff comes up that you haven't said to him from before, or her, or they or them. All this stuff comes up and you start getting angry. And then when you go away, you feel bad because you got angry and nothing was resolved. The likelihood that you got angry in that moment was because maybe in childhood or previous relationships, you were continuously dismissed. So now as you're getting older and your needs are needing to be met, being dismissed is going to trigger you and make you feel angry. But that anger is not going to serve a purpose. That anger is not going to help you communicate how you're feeling. And you're going to end up in a cycle of anger or shutting down or sadness or feeling like you can't say how. Showing up differently is important. And this is what emotional intelligence is. It's recognizing that how you're dealing with emotions right now is not good for you. Say you get down and suddenly feel depressed and you're feeling and you don't know why, and everything's feeling like it's annoying you and upsetting you. This could be that you're slipping into not knowing that your body is telling you that things are wrong. Maybe you're not being listened to, or you don't feel validated by friends or family. So what's happening is when we shut down our emotions and shut down how we feel, our behaviours go into depression, our behaviours go into everything's not right. Everything's not working out. But when we start to take our personal power back and realise, actually, what's going on for me right now? Sadness and depression are signs that you have completely disconnected from your emotions. And you'll go, well, how? I'm always feeling down. I'm always feeling sad. I'm always annoyed. No, those are emotional hijackings. Those aren't you connecting to your emotions. How I learned to start connecting to my emotions was each day I would ask myself how I felt. If things happened that affected me, I would take myself away so that I wouldn't get angry. And if I shut down, I would take myself away and I would sit and I'd process. You ask yourselves a couple of things. How am I feeling right now? How am I feeling right now? How am I, Julie, Mark, Tracy, Trevor, Star, Frank, whatever your name is? How am I feeling right now? I'm feeling angry. Why am I feeling angry? Because I feel that nobody listens to me. Have you ever felt like no one's listened to you before? Yes, growing up I felt nobody listened to me. Okay. So what will you do if you feel like nobody is listening to you? Well, what you may be doing right now is shouting and screaming, holding it in, shouting and screaming, holding in, shouting and screaming, or just pulling yourself away. How can you show up differently with emotional intelligence? You can start addressing your emotions and how you're feeling. And this is going to be uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to start facing a different way of showing up to your life. And listen, your path of growth is not one straight line. It is going to be times where you're going to relapse and get angry or regress or pull back or shut down. Hey, I still do that. And I'm healing. I'm way down my healing journey and I still do that. So I need you to have love and compassion for yourself, that this is a journey and not a destination, my friends. And all we can ever do is bring awareness into our life, not perfection, not a strive to be somebody we are not. Time to connect to our emotions, because your emotions are valid. And I feel that you have possibly allowed, without realising, your emotions to be invalid. Every day I invite you to check in with how you feel. Now, I don't say to do this long term because we can become hyper aware of our emotions. And sometimes that can be counterproductive. But initially starting to recognise that your emotions are one half of you. They need to be heard. Your emotions don't go anywhere. They will just hijack you. So they need to be heard. They need now to have a voice and to have a presence and acknowledgement that they are important. Because you are here to say how you feel in healthy ways. You are here to be heard and validated by those around you. You are here to create bonding, and there's going to be some relationships in your life with relationships and friendships. And I will talk about that later in a video, because first of all, it's about connecting to you. But to connect to other people, you need to learn to connect to you healthily so that you can validate yourself. Emotional intelligence is key to your spiritual journey. Listen, spirituality is often spoke about with all this Reiki and shamanism, and all these ways and philosophies are amazing. But some of the core aspects of your spiritual journey is inner child work and shadow work, and it is often missed. And this is why people do a lot of this other modalities and they find that they're still stuck. And this lesson is about recognizing that when you start to connect to your emotions, you will start to feel more validated by yourself. In turn, you can start to create environments where other people validate you. And what may happen is you may end up losing some people along the way. And that is also something that people get scared of. And it isn't nice. But actually what we're doing when we're allowing those people to shift that are not in the same space as us, we are allowing other people that show us respect and show us, the level of what we're willing to bring to a certain extent. We are all unhealed in so many different ways. And actually learning to heal ourselves and learning to grow and learning to find this within ourselves will ultimately allow us to have better relationships with others. And how you emotionally show up for yourself will be the key to how you emotionally show up in your life with others. Because if anything like I got to the point where I was sick and tired of shouting and screaming and being angry, or shutting down and feeling numb. And I knew something had to change in my life. And actually, what had to change was I needed to start connecting to my emotions. So the exercise again is recap. Each time you feel an overwhelming sense of emotion, take yourself somewhere or find space later on in that day. Do not leave it too long. To sit and feel your emotion. Label it. What am I feeling? Allow it to come in without having to act upon it, because then you're validating it. Allow yourself to process it, but recognize that once you step up and you step into the rest of your day, you are leaving that emotion where it was. You don't need to harper on it because you're feeling it, and you will start to realize how you can actually flow through your emotions without them hijacking you. Now, I truly hope that you've got something from this video. And look, I'm 3 videos in, and I only know that my YouTube videos will get better, but at the end of the day, we have to start somewhere. I have to show up, and I have to just, deliver this information that I know that I'm here and called to deliver to you. Follow me, subscribe, comment underneath if you relate to any of the things that I am talking about regarding emotional regulation today. Because guess what? We're all on a journey of growth, and emotions is a big part of that.